Well, welcome everybody. We have a lot of people on this call. I really appreciate everybody joining today. Um, One day we'll be able to do this in person again. And Everybody knows that we rescheduled or we've postponed our fall luncheon uh, till next year. And so anyway, I'd like to go ahead and get started. Can you go to the next slide? And Victor, I'm assuming that I'm the person letting people in from the lobby?
Nancy can go ahead, or Bob can go ahead and do that. I see the pop-up also.
So I'll just ignore it. So I'm going to give a quick overview of the department and how we're doing. Kim's going to go over our CFS budget, and then we have some special time with our dean, who would like us to have sort of a dialogue with her, question and answers. So I put her third so that you'd hear about updates from the department, you'd hear about our budget, and that might prompt you to have some kind of questions for her. We're also going to have Tammy talk about CFS Governance Council. Kim is going to give an overview of our grant productivity. Deborah Mowry's not here, so I will be giving her report on our academic productivity. Jill and Chi are going to give us an update on a new cost recovery program that we're super excited about. And then Chi is going to introduce Dr. Minghung Wang, who is a visiting scholar from Taiwan. So let's go ahead. Next slide. So, I am going to say some things that some of you know a lot about because you've been here for a while, but we have a lot of new employees. I'm always signing HR forms, so I don't want to take anything for granted. And sometimes, especially now with how we're working partly remotely, partly here, it's easy to just think you're just within one particular project. But CFS is unique in that it's interdisciplinary. I know there's a whole building on campus. I was touring people during the rain on Friday, and there's a whole building for it. But we really are interdisciplinary. I think we really exemplify all the characteristics of interdisciplinary. We have psychologists, educators, business people, sociologists, anthropologists, psychologists. We have a variety of faculty backgrounds and staff backgrounds, and we bring that pretty much to focus on our vision and our mission statement. And it's our vision and mission that really pulls us together as one department. Next slide. And just for everybody, we're still strong. We are surviving COVID very well. We have 267 faculty and staff. We have 4 academic programs. I'll give you a little bit more detail about within those programs. We have programs, and we have 3 research divisions. Next slide. And for those of you who are new, we have an organizational chart for the department. And because of our size, because we have 267 folks, we can't often all meet together, and we often can't easily get input from people. So we're organized by the 3 research divisions, as you can see, and it shows the different directors of those divisions. And then we have the academic programs, and then we have administration. We have a leadership team of the leaders whose responsibility is to go back to the divisions and share or get information that we've learned in our meetings together, as well as to get your input back to us. So we are organized in a very unique way, different from many departments on campus. I've been told that we may be the largest department on campus. So we try to create a structure that is not hierarchical, but still allows for organization and communication. If anybody wants these slides, we can also send them to you if you want to see this chart. Next slide. So what all that does, those 267 employees, Kim Reed was able to get some information, and I said, compare us to colleges instead of departments. And as you can see, our portfolio right now is about, or our proposals that we had to date, which includes during this entire COVID time over the last, say, 12 months, we have $45 million worth of proposals That's not a small amount of work. Those proposals take a huge amount of effort on the faculty and the staff that work on them, and also among our pre-award people who help us apply for these grants. Without them, we wouldn't be able to have $45 million worth of proposals. But as you can see, our own college is here. So we're about half of the proposals in the college, half of the proposals coming out of public health, uh, pretty good compared to education, marine sciences, and engineering. And, of course, when you look at engineering, we don't include USF Health on here because a lot of times engineering involves a lot of equipment. And as does marine sciences, our grants include a lot of personnel. All of our stuff is all about dealing with humans, both who we're focused on doing our research and training with, but also it takes a lot of humans to do that type of research and training activities in our world. And so that's why we have a strong infrastructure and we pay a lot of attention to the support staff and administrators that help us manage all of that in conjunction with the dean's office staff. Next slide. Here's our actual by awards during the last time period. This is our total number of awards. This is during this period of time, and $18 million. And you can see we're about two-thirds of the college, almost approximate College of Arts and Sciences, which is a huge college. And engineering, we're about, half. So kudos to all of you. I wish we could all hear ourselves clapping, but you guys are amazing. You rock. And it's incredible that during all of the challenges in doing the grants that we currently have, that you were still able to pull off the number of proposals and you've been successful with $18 million worth of them. That's a kind of triple duty, proposals, existing grants, and then new ones coming in to get started, all during a time when working out in the real world, which is all of our work is out in the real world, either in schools or other community settings where it's really challenging. And it's just phenomenal that we have this portfolio. Next slide. Kim was also able to pull that we have Tracy Jordan, Lisa Fox, Beth Boone, Don Kincaid, Pam Menendez, Marilyn Stern, Anna Winokur, Rose Ivanone, and Heather George are in the top 100 faculty on campus getting grant funding. That also is incredible. Phenomenal, right? Now you know why you get so tired, Beth. I'm kidding. I don't think she ever gets tired. Next slide. And of course, it's a lot of work applying for a grant. It's a tremendous amount of work implementing them, getting them off. When you get a new grant, it's a huge amount of work. A lot of times our partners have forgotten they were our partners. So implementation, early implementation is really a lot of work. In spite of all of this productivity and all of this work, our faculty have generated, and I should say it's a scholarly productivity because some of these accomplishments are not accomplished by just our faculty, but they're also accomplished by other folks that are in other lines within the department. So we've had 2 books, 30 book chapters, 119 peer-reviewed journal articles, and many of those peer-reviewed journals are in the top journals in our field. 30 technical reports that go as deliverables to some of the contracts that we are funded by, and 11 web publications. We presented, sometimes virtually, of course, during COVID, at 169 conferences. 33 of our faculty are on editorial boards of some of these important journals. And then our faculty often serve as ad hoc reviewers. That's when a journal asks you to do a review, even though you're not on their editorial board. But we have been reviewers for 73 journals.
Yeah, Dr. Kelly's reading that too. It's very prestigious. Has to do that.
Hello? So we also have Ray Miltenberger has been named a fellow of the American Association of Advancement of Science, which is a big prestige. Tina Delahunt was honored as a fellow of the American Congress of Rehab Medicine. And Tina Spencer will be going on a Fulbright to South Africa soon in the spring. These are all fantastic honors that and opportunities that, yeah, fantastic. Next slide. So here they are. There's Ray and Tina and Trina, in case you all don't know what they look like. We should have had you wearing your masks. That way people would recognize you in the hall. And then one special thing is, you know, a lot of times we hire researchers that aren't faculty yet. And we have two of them are Melissa Johnson and Monica Landers, and they both just recently successfully defended their dissertations. And we're hoping to work with HR and try to see if we can reclassify them into research faculty positions. Congratulations to the two of you. They were working full-time, working on their grants, working on grant applications, working on publications, and doing their dissertations. So that's pretty amazing. Next slide. Now we're going to have Kim give us a department budget update. Hand it over to Kim.
Good morning, everyone. We can go ahead and go to the first budget slide. So our budget is on par with what we've been receiving as our base budget. So you can see the E&G for each individual area that has their own E&G budget. And then our carry forward, this is the funds we had in E&G that when we closed out the year on June 30th, rolled into the next year as carry forward. CFS had a very healthy carry forward this year. Significant part of that is because we haven't been traveling. So no travel, extra funds. And so we were able to leverage these funds to do some projects around the department and support some other things. So we've been supporting a lot of grads and postdocs in these funds. RMHC and Right Path also had carry forward funds this year. Our RIA accounts are as healthy as always. We have 1.2 million. It's actually up a little bit over the previous year because we continue to have grant revenue. So we continue to have realized FNA. Also, again, we're not traveling, or we haven't been. So a lot of these funds that we would normally be putting to our conferences and our conventions, we haven't been. So hopefully, well, I think everyone is anxious to get these activities started again. Our auxiliary accounts are all looking pretty healthy. We've got some growth. Our rock star in our auxiliary account is the ABA cost recovery. So this is actually cash, by the way, in these accounts. This is money that's on hand. It's not the budget where we're planning to spend. And I think Chi's going to talk to us in a little while, Chi and Jillian, about a new cost recovery program we're working on. Victor, we can go to the next slide.
Can we go back to that slide? I just want to make a quick comment. The ABA that has 172,000 and the rehab that has 2,000, those are online trainings that we do as an enterprise to make money. And some of that actually helps to fund our students in ABA to go to conferences, to present. It helps us to pay stipends to run this program. And the rehab one, the reason why it's at 2,000 is it's actually a little higher than that now, but that's a brand new licensure preparation that has been led and created by Tina Delahunt. So those are in addition to the cost recovery program. Those are sort of revenue generation enterprises that we've self-generated within the department, and you know, it's kudos to that. Katya is the contact person for the ABA, and the rehab is Tina Delahunt, and kudos to them for doing this.
So these are our foundation funds. We have a significant number of foundation funds. This was the available balance in these funds last Friday. I think we put these together. So we have some good donations coming in to help support our programs. We also have two endowments. We have an autism endowment and the Bob Friedman Scholarship Endowment. And the endowments, for a fund to get endowed, they have to have at least $25,000. So the Bob Friedman Scholarship just was endowed recently. So when you have an endowment, you have funds that are available to spend. And so that's what you see on the two lines, the 10,000 and the 636. The spendable funds come in from interest generated on these accounts. The Autism Fund has been accruing interest over a number of years, so they have a little bit more. And I believe that's the end of our budget slides at this point.
So I want to introduce our dean, Julie Cerovich, and also thank her for all the work she's done behind the scenes to support me when I have questions and I don't know what to do about COVID has been the big issue for us. And she's really been there as an advocate for all of us in the college, making sure we're all safe and that our questions get answered, especially for those who are teaching and need sort of an immediate response. So I really appreciate, I know all of us appreciate her for being there for us.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mario. First of all, let me apologize. You're going to probably looking at my ceiling fan most of today. Unfortunately, I got kicked out of Microsoft 365 or 350, whatever it is. I don't know, maybe I was fired over the weekend, but I can't seem to log in. So I turned off the fan, so at least you don't have to see something whirling over my head that looks like devious or something. So my apologies. I hope you can at least hear me. I've been in 2 meetings this morning, one of which they couldn't hear me. The other one, they couldn't see me, but they could hear me. So I don't know. Anyway, so I'm a little handicapped. We'll just put it that way this morning. So thank you so much, Mario, for inviting me. I do like to come to at least one full department meeting, so I get an opportunity to hear the great things that are being done, which believe me, Mario tells me every little thing that you do. So it's not like I miss out anything. So, but it's really great to see kind of a summary of everything that's going on in the department, because I know you're so productive, and it's very impressive to see the collective when you pull all those numbers together. So I just think there's just a few things that I thought, I would update you, even though I might not even really have an update on it, and then really open it up for your questions and comments or thoughts that you might have that I can bring forward as I move, throughout the year. So especially concerns, and I love, as you know, I've got this partiality to rumors. So if you have any of those, I'd love to hear. So the first, let me say that I really don't have any updates on COVID at this point. Things seem to be settling down in terms of our community numbers and our campus numbers. The last update we got from Donna Peterson, things look pretty good. The new mutant, the MU deviant, has not seemed to be taken hold to the degree that initially they thought that it might. So in many parts of campus, things are really returning back to normal, whatever that may turn out to be. We're seeing more traffic on campus, which is great. We're seeing more people on campus, which is great. And so I think we're turning the curve on that, as long as nothing unforeseeable should occur as we move forward into winter. Now in the South, usually that's okay. We'll have to see what happens in the North and the Northwest of our country. So that looks pretty good. Let me say that all unions have reached a negotiation, except for in terms of raises or bonuses or whatever they're going to give out this year, except for the USF. We were back at the table all afternoon on Friday, and I think we're close to an agreement with the union. They asked for some time to consider the various proposals that were put in front of them on Friday afternoon. So I'm really hoping within the next coming weeks soon, that we'll have an agreement. The university is certainly eager to get settled. The union needs to still consider some pieces of what was placed in front of them, but I know they want to get this done as well. And so once we do come to an agreement, then it'll have to be ratified, and it'll have to go in front of the Board of Trustees. So there will be nothing coming up anytime soon. I can tell you that, unfortunately. But there is movement. There's lots of activity. we are at the table, and so I think that's at least good news. But everybody else has pretty much been settled out. I have really no update in terms of budget for next year. We're hoping the economy is looking really good in the state of Florida, as you know. We're hoping that things will continue that in that way. The university and the Board of Governors has put forward a legislative budget request for all three major universities, FSU, UF, and USF, for $50 million recurring for each. We don't really know how that's going to settle out. We've been asking for that for a long time. So this is not a really new request, but we'll have to see how that settles out in the upcoming legislative session. That legislative session begins, I think it's January 11th, and they will end early so that because they're campaigning for the elections in the fall. While we'll have an idea of what the House and the Senate come to an agreement on, what we won't know is what the governor will ultimately sign off on. And usually he does take out a red pen, and last year he used it quite extensively. This year, I think it's going to be a little more difficult, but you never know. So we really probably won't hear anything until usually June and July. No different, even though they will again be done probably in March, and we'll have an idea, but we won't really know for quite some time afterwards. So the last thing I have is in terms of diversity in the college. I hold this as a priority, and this is something that we've been working really hard on. And there's two initiatives that are currently we're really pushing on, and one is we are finishing up. Hopefully, the committee, the diversity committee, is finishing up their interviews for a new a special assistant to the dean for diversity, inclusion, and equity. I'm beginning to schedule my interviews with those folks. So I'm hoping that soon we'll be able to announce who will be that person. Following that, well, maybe following that, or even potentially before that, the college will be hosting a town hall on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we want to highlight the work that's being done across. First of all, we're going to highlight some of the things that are going on at the university level, because I don't really know if everybody understands or is aware of what the university is doing. And then we're going to talk about what's being done at the different units. The Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Committee is handling at least a preliminary agenda for this meeting. And as soon as we can find, they're working on some dates right now, and I'm hoping that'll be pretty soon. We'll get the word out on that, and I hope that you all will find some time to attend, because I think there's some really nice things that are happening in the college and the university that really that reflect our values in terms of diversity, inclusion, and equity. So Mario, let me stop there and see if there's anything that you would like me to cover, and if not, I'm certainly open to answering questions from the faculty and staff of the department. And I can't really see much because I'm on my little iPad here. So.
Victor or Nancy, can you see any questions? Because I don't see any, but there may not be any.
I don't see any questions. Somebody raised their hand.
It was me. It's Laura from FCIC. I just wanted to update really quick that the ED&I town hall will be November 17th. Excuse me, November 17th at 2. So we just sent the invite this morning.
I need to get that on my calendar. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a question from Kim that
have we heard anything about the raises for the employee class A and P? They don't have a union.
No, I don't know. The AFSCME has been negotiated. I don't know that. I don't know. I am assuming that the AP usually goes along with whatever faculty raises tend to be. So I'm assuming that they will be the same.
That's what I thought as well.
Has your hand up.
Historically, that's what's happened, as I recall.
I had my hand up really quickly. So just curious about whether you know anything about, particularly related to UF and the academic freedom issues. And I guess there's a town hall this week that I was hoping to catch. So if you had any comments about that, it would be helpful.
Yeah, the only, thank you for raising that. Yeah, you may have seen there's a proposal going around regarding post-tenure review is really what the focus is on. And my understanding is that there has been some talk, I think, in Tallahassee about visiting with post-tenure review. And my understanding is that the universities are trying to get out ahead of that, and a proposal has been brought forward by the provost of the University of Florida and has been circulated to the other universities, and our faculty senate has that proposal. I've seen it. I've only been able, unfortunately, to see the highlights of it. So the faculty senate is currently taking a look and deciding on a response to that proposal. So I'm I'm eager to hear what faculty senate have to say about what they're reading in that and their interpretation. In many respects, my understanding is it's not that different than what most of us do anyway in terms of post-tenure review, but I have not delved into the specifics. But my understanding, and I do trust that faculty senate has this under control.
So is that the same issue? I'm sorry.
No,
Is
go
that
ahead,
the
whatever that
issue
is.
that is, in the news about UF and the professors not being allowed to, or was not being allowed to testify in things? Is that connected?
No, they're not connected. They're not
Okay.
connected. There are two different factors. One, post-tenure review is, the issue is, what are we doing to help our associate professors move up into the professorial? What are we doing to help them get full? What kind of reviews are they getting? What kind of assistance are they getting? That's the one piece. The other piece that UF is facing is the issue around what some people are calling censorship, that a number of their faculty were prohibited from testifying what they consider to be against the state, which, if you really read it, I don't think that it is. University of South Florida, we have had faculty do very similar activity, and as long as it's been reported, whether it's been paid or not, the big issue is that you report those activities. We've allowed it. But this year, apparently there have been up to 8 cases at the University of Florida that have been denied, 5 previous to the most recent case of 3. So the University of Florida is taking a pretty hard line against their faculty being able to testify in matters that involve, on one side of, well, I don't know, I can't say on both sides of the state arguments, but and again, I haven't delved into all of it, but those are very 2 different issues, and we are not involved in that one. Again, we have allowed our faculty to testify as long as they report the activity. But my understanding this morning. I read this morning that the president has released the president of University of Florida has released those restrictions on the faculty there and said that indeed they may testify, and that they may be paid for that they may be compensated for that testimony. But that just happened I saw it this morning. I'm assuming that it happened over the weekend. Good questions.
Did somebody else have their hand up? I wanted to add something that has happened this morning. And I know, Julie, you're aware of it, but some of our researchers may just be hearing about this. There's a mistake that was made with bonuses being charged to the grants. And of course, we can't do that. The grants won't allow that. And Steve Johnson has already worked with the dean. Our understanding was that this was the money, COVID money, that they were going to use to give these bonuses. I'm not even sure if that's still correct, but it can't come from the grants. So there's some kind of a issue or confusion there. So they did post, but don't worry, it's going to be taken care of and undone. Not
yes,
your, but it's not going to come from the grants.
Correct. Yes, that did post. That was a problem. I didn't realize that they posted those. I thought they were that they did not, and that we were trying to find other ways of dealing with that. But thank you for letting me know that it did that they did post, and we will take care of that. Well, if there's nothing else, let me just say there are changes coming about at the University of South Florida, and I think we will have a lot of new positions open up. Administration's going to change, and I think the thing about change, of course, is that there's always opportunity, and we need to remain open to those opportunities. One of the things that I've always kind of understood the issue, the concept of equanimity, but I've really been able to put that into practice in the past few year and a half, probably here. The idea of change is occurring all around us, and necessarily as how we react to that is what makes the outcome either to our favor or not to our favor. And so I think as we move over the next year and a half, and we see new president, new VPs, others folks coming in and taking leadership positions. I think what's important is that we just maintain the great direction that the college is in, and our trajectory has never been better, and that we continue to move forward in a very positive and in the manner that we've always have, with optimism and a really good outlook on this college and the programming that we offer our students and the research that we do. So with that, again, Mario, I'll take my leave and let you all get back to your business.
Thank you very much, Julie.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your meeting and a good rest of the semester. Please don't hesitate to contact my office. And let me also say, Mario does a great job for you all. He represents you extremely well. I know he keeps me in the loop on everything. And so I'm very grateful to him for his leadership. You're in great hands there. And so that takes at least one worry off my plate. So thank you all again. Again, great meeting, and enjoy the rest of the semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, next slide. If you see me looking over here, there was a really loud, weird noise by my desk, which could only mean that the rats are back. It was a weird noise right next to me. Oh. So if you see anything crawling on my shoulder, be sure to raise your hand and let me know. And now we have an update from Tammy Jurgensen-Smith.
Hi, everybody. Next slide, please. We recently had an election for the CFS Governance Council. I will be serving as the new chair, with Janet Reyes as the vice chair and Laura Kern as our reporter. And Lana is going to continue on as the substitute or alternate chair. We also have many other members, as you can see on this screen, who are working hard to represent the faculty and staff of CFS as part of the Governance Council. Next slide, please. There are two major things that we're working on right now. The first one being a faculty experience survey. A larger survey was completed by the university in 2020, and we wanted to bring that to our department to assess how everyone is doing in terms of the stress, loneliness, isolation, and caregiver concerns that we've been hearing about that were closely related to the pandemic. So this actually started as a faculty survey, but at our last meeting, we determined that it is just relevant to every person, every employee in this department. So we are going to be sending that survey out probably at the beginning of the spring to get that assessment. And the council will look at all the areas that Mark needs improvement and talk about how we can best address them to best support CFS employees. The second thing that we're working on that's a time-pressing issue, and all of you, I'm sure, have heard about the academic guideline updates for faculty annual evaluations. The Vice Provost has asked us to put together a well-developed set of criteria in research, teaching, and service, and to align that with the governance criteria for tenure and promotion. So we've had council representatives, and I listed the different representatives for the different programs and representation for our departments. Sitting in on these meetings and bringing the information back to the council. Our council will have our next meeting on November 30th. Basically, what's going to happen with the academic guidelines is all of the programs have put together their drafts and their input, and those are going to be merged into a document that is submitted to the Vice Provost by the 19th of this month. And then Maria will have a meeting with the Vice Provost to provide any feedback from that administration, and we will, and that will go to the Governance Council to incorporate into the governance document for vote by the full faculty. And there's a tight timeline for this. We need to have all of this completed by the end of the calendar year. So we'll be moving quickly to make sure that we have something to you for vote very soon.
If I could add to this, I think I now have every group of either program and group of faculty. I think they're all in at this point. I think the last email I saw from Rehab was that one was now done as well, I think. And so what we were able to do was I just didn't think we could have one set of standards for the whole department. It's just, we're too big, too complex. And we have different programs, and we have different career paths. So so ABA will have a set, Rehab will have a set, MFT will have a set. They share with Rehab because they have some of the same faculty in both of those academic programs. And then we have a group of tenured folks that, like me, we were never hired into an academic program, like Lisa Fox, Don Kincaid, the people in Right Path. They weren't hired into one of our academic programs. And then, of course, things like our research career path, we have two different ones. So the only one that was a little odd, and I think we finally reached an agreement, Deborah and I worked it out, is that if you're teaching in the online program that Deborah Mowry directs, that she developed her own expectations, but she will use the expectations of your career path in this document. So there won't be an extra plus the ones that you all created. So if you're teaching, she'll provide feedback. She'll provide feedback to your supervisor based on the criteria in this document, as opposed to a separate set of criteria. So that was the only thing. The next step is just to go through it all and organize it into a document and copy edit it to make sure that it all makes sense. And the way, Tammy, that we'll vote on it is to have each of the faculty, each of the programs and faculty groups and the career paths vote on their own. So and some of that has kind of already happened, so I'm not really too worried about this, but by the way the work groups function. And I really know this was a lot of work, and I really appreciate everybody that that worked on this. And of course, the balance is always how much specificity versus how much degrees of freedom, because you never know, situations are complex, and also to make sure that the expectations align with the tenure and promotion documents so that they connect to what we already say you need to do in order to get tenure and promotion. So that's a huge task, and I'll be setting up a meeting I'm going to identify some people, Tammy, to help me just to go through all of these and then figure out who can help with making sure that they're all copy edited before they go into the governance document. And before they go to the governance document, they go to the provost's office for their approval via the dean's office. So there might be some little technical changes or things that we don't know, but we'll keep everybody informed as that happens. Yeah, when I first heard about this task, I wanted to retire. But I think when they allowed me to break it down by programs and career paths, then it seemed doable. And I think it's going to be fine. All right. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you for that clarification, Mario. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Kimberly.
So we're going to delve
productivity.
We're going to delve a little deeper into our grant productivity than what we discussed at the beginning. So I have been sharing this slide with you guys for a couple of years now. This is our overall value of our current active grants. So it's a lot, and it's been a lot for a few years, but there seemed to be some confusion in how we measure this. So at the point we pull this together for these meetings, this is the total value of all of our active grants. So for example, the USAID grant, it's a 5-year grant. So its entire value is included in this 55 million, which is a benchmark. It is a good benchmark, especially internally. But we thought we would look at this at the way the university looks at this, which is a little more difficult to get to. Next slide. This is our annual value of our actual grants. Like I said, it's a little harder to get to. Also, the university, well, we don't know how they calculate these things. I'm just going to be frank. We do know that some of the grants that we have active don't make their numbers. We know that a lot of proposals don't make their numbers. This is why we track them separately. But Janet worked a lot over the last week to get these numbers so that they're very close or dead on to what the university reports. So these are a 1-year value, the current fiscal year value of our grant portfolio. Well, current, we did fiscal year 21, 22 is still in process. So still a very solid number, 18.6 million for last fiscal year. And the graph makes it look a little more dramatic than it is, but we're only a couple million off from year to year. And it's funny to say only a couple million, but in what we do, if you think of a $55 million grant package, 2 million from year to year is on par. Next slide. So these are new awards that we got in each fiscal year. Again, these are the total value of the grants, so not 1 year, but the total value. So fiscal year 21, we were up considerably in new grants. This adds to the portfolio. So these are not our only active grants. We had a lot of grant activity, proposal activity in fiscal year 21, which led to the increased grant acquisition in fiscal year, 20 and then 21. So you write those grants, and I know sometimes you don't get them and it's frustrating, but you know, the more you go for, the more likely your odds are to hit a grant, to get that in. Though I have to say our hit rate in this department is very impressive. So you guys do a great job. Just before I hand over to the next slide, to the next presenter, I want to let you know that we have been working with Dan Sodders in FCIC, and he is building a database for us to track these grants. So your research administrators have been meeting with him. We almost have it ready to push the data into it. When that happens, we'll be able to get numbers in real time and very accurate. It'll be easier than us. We do keep a spreadsheet, but we still have to go through, make sure we're comparing apples to apples. So this will make that exercise a little easier. And I think that's all I have. Mario, you're muted.
Deborah, as I said, not able to be here today, so I'm going to be doing this part of our slides on academic productivity. Next slide. I know it gets very confusing because of our size, and we do have a lot of new employees. But if you're in CFS, it doesn't matter what grant you're in or what program you are, this is part of your home. This is your neighborhood. And let me say, when I say we have 4 academic programs, you'll see it's a little bit more complicated than that. So the ABA program that Ray Miltenberger directs has a PhD program that's considered a separate academic program. We have a master's program which has what we started with years ago. We have a new Master of Science, which is what's called cost recovery. When you hear the word cost recovery, that means that's a program where we can actually make a profit. That money, we can't spend money from the state of Florida. You have to use money from that. But it's like a grant. So when you buy somebody out, it generates salary savings within the department. And if I'm not mistaken, the traditional is a Master of Science and the online is a Master of Arts. It's the other way around. And then we have an undergraduate minor, which is very, very popular and really is strong enough that it could become a major. But we don't want any more jobs. We want to make sure that we can cover the open faculty positions that we have now before we grow anymore. So when I say ABA program, realize that there's 4 programs within the ABA program. And then we have what Deborah works on and what many of you teach in and advise in, and that's a Master of Science in Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health. And then we have the Rehabilitation and Mental Health Counseling program that has a Master of Arts. By the way, that program is now ranked 27th in the US and World Report, which is a big deal ranking. And last year we had some of the largest number of the best qualified applicants due to a lot of special recruiting effort that went on with them. This year we already have for our information session a fantastic number. It may be a record number of potential students signing up for it. That gives us, when we become ranked and when we do good marketing, it gives us a chance to get some really top quality programs. With Cheese Leadership, that program went from a part-time program to a full-time program. That means we work with students that are all pretty much enrolled full-time. There's also an addiction studies minor within that program. Just like we have an undergraduate minor in ABA, there's also an addiction studies minor that from the day one has been hugely successful. That minor also leads with application to the state to serve as an addictions assistant, if that's the right term, addictions counselor. And then brand new, you heard it last year, Ryan Henry created a Master of Science in Marriage and Family Therapy. We have our first cohort, and we're working on a new cohort for next year. He's been working with Mark Walsh and Lauren who are in our lobbyist office, because somebody wrote legislation after we became an MFT program that you couldn't have another MFT program in the state. And we're undoing that now. I think somebody at a private university might have done that, but Ryan's been working very diligently, and we hope that that restriction will be removed this year in legislation. We also have certificate programs, 2 in addictions that are super popular. Both, which again, if you take this graduate certificate and you're in a socially science related program, you can apply for certification from the state. Children's mental health, which is part of the Master of Science that Deborah leads. Also the ITRE that Tom Massey and Bruce Levin are involved in. There's also preceded the Marriage and Family Therapy Masters is a Marriage and Family Therapy certificate. And then lastly, a certificate in positive behavior support. Pretty much our certificates really just add on value to somebody else's, to a degree that somebody might have in another college or even within our own. So this is what generates what I'm going to show you next. Next slide. So as you can see, we have an incredible, look at 2006. Now, 2000, the last one looks like it went down, but that's only because that's the beginning of the academic year. So if you look at 2020, 2021, you'll see that from 2006 to then, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Deborah says it's a 1,200% increase. I think that was right, in our SCH. So all those programs that you just saw generate this student credit hours. Having success in our student credit hours supports our ability in the future to be able to recruit faculty and to be able to justify our existence as a department, which if we were just the way we were in 2006 or 2005, and we pretty much didn't have but the ABA program, we would be really challenged with our ability to grow and to request academic positions. It's this, along with our research, that makes us very successful and poised to be able to actually grow even more in the future. Next slide. This is a comparison of like, there's been a lot of decrease in students enrolling or dropping out because of COVID, and we actually had an increase. So this is very good. It goes to show you that our programs are very attractive to students. A lot of our programs all help students get jobs in high, areas of a lot of need in our culture. And so, I think most of our students who graduate are employed. So, and many of them actually get employed sometimes by the place they did their field experience in. So anyway, this is a really positive sign of the support we have from students and their interest in the type of programs that we offer. Next slide. So I'm going to let Chi and Jillian talk a little bit about the new cost recovery program. Again, I want to just say cost recovery program is we can make money within an educational business account as long as that money is kept separate. And as you saw when Kim showed that after paying for all the graduate students, which we now pay our doctoral graduate students in the ABA program, some of the highest stipends in the country, which means we're going to even do better in attracting quality students than we have been. All of that is paid for by the cost recovery program. That doesn't come out of the CFS budget, and it doesn't come out of the dean's budget. So these cost recovery programs are really like a grant, and when they do buy out faculty time, it all generates salary savings. So Jill and Chi.
Hi, I'm Chi. So the rehab program, we just received an approval from the university to start this cost recovery graduate degree program in rehabilitation, counseling, and disability science. And we have been working together with our faculty, and Dr. Jillian Helman is the key person helping me developing this program. So I'm going to let her give us an overview of the program and the development updates.
Thank you, Chi. You can move to the next slide. As Chi said, we've been working for about 1.5 years. It's hard to believe it's been 1.5 years on this cost recovery program. I'd have to thank Chi and Mario and the Dean's Office, especially Jennifer Lister and Steve in Financial and Innovation Ed. They all really helped us get through the process of this, which has been a little daunting at times, but we're excited for the approval and to be moving forward. This will be a fully online master's program that will be 60 credit hours. It'll allow for flexibility for individuals who want to go back and get their master's and become certified rehabilitation counselors or work with individuals in a leadership role in agencies that serve people with disabilities. If they're working full-time right now, they can do this master's program. Maybe they live out of state and would like to do an online master's program. Other online master's programs that offer CRC that are out of state, their tuition is a little bit higher, and we have a lot of our in-state voc rehab employees going out of state taking these online programs, so we're excited to be offering one in the state of Florida. Even though we just got approval, our tentative launch date is fall of 2022, so we are working hard to make that come to fruition. The purpose of this program is to prepare professionals to work with growing population of people with disabilities in the U.S., with an emphasis on contemporary state-of-the-art research and assistive technology in disability sciences. Our curriculum will be very similar to our online program. However, we are developing a few new courses. It'll be very similar to our on-campus program, but we are developing a few new courses that will only be offered on the online master's program for the rehab counseling students, one of which is in disability justice. as well as assistive technology and trauma-informed care when working with the disability population. Our recruiting efforts are going to focus on individuals interested in advocating for the rights of people with disabilities and working for agencies servicing people with disabilities. Next slide. Graduates with this degree will be eligible to sit for the national certification as a rehabilitation counselor and obtain careers in state voc rehabs offices, as well as veterans administration and private industry as certified rehabilitation counselors. Other careers in leadership positions, again, where these agencies are advocating for people with disabilities, disability rights, or disability justice, or careers in human resources. So we're really excited about this because it could offer, people could graduate and look for jobs already as directors of rehab services, ADA compliance officers, ADA coordinators, and rehab counselors in the state and private industry. Some of these income changes for someone who has a master's in rehab counseling and disability sciences when looking to be as a coordinator or director is a great increase of what they're using a disability degree for. So we're excited to be offering this online master's program. Thank you.
Thank you, Chi, and thank you, Jill. This has been a roller coaster of a lot of work. And again, it's one of the things like grant writing, grant implementation of a new grant. They did all of this while having full-time jobs. So that's kudos to them for doing this. I'm trying to figure out how to applause. Every time I try to applause, let's see, did I do it? Yay!
Thank you. Okay, then so next I want to introduce Dr. Minghang Wang. So we have a Fulbright scholar visiting us this semester. So Dr. Wang, please make a noise so you can appear on the screen.
Yes.
Do you want to wave?
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, so Dr. Minghang Wang is a professor of Graduate Institute of Rehabilitation Counseling at the National Changhua University of Education in Taiwan. So after he received his PhD from University of Wisconsin-Madison in 1998, he went back to Taiwan and became one of the pioneers who basically developed the field of rehab counseling in Taiwan. And he's also a founder of the Graduate Rehabilitation Counseling Institute in Taiwan. I really envy him because I feel like he make a huge difference in Taiwan. I had the honor to give a speech in his university when I visit his university during my Fulbright visit, and I'm very glad that he's with us this semester. He will be here until February. So if you have a chance, please visit him. His office is on our wing. It was, I don't know, it's in the between MFT and rehab corridor. So if you come here, please visit him. His Fulbright project focuses on how does advanced rehab counseling, rehab technology may impact the perspective of disability. So usually when we talk about disability, it's usually associated with the people needs help. But his idea is that with the advanced innovative technology, people can function very independently in the mainstream environment. So how will that impact the definition of disability and the future direction of rehabilitation service is his research focus. So he has been interviewing with experts in the rehab technology, assistive technology, and rehab counselor educators. So if you are interested or you know somebody who is an expert in that field, please contact him. And finally, we have an MOU with Dr. Wang's university. Next semester, we will have visiting students come to our program. They will visit the class, talk to the students, and visit the community agencies. So he hoped that we will have more international collaboration in the future between two universities. Welcome, Dr. Wang.
Thank you. Should I say something or just?
If you'd like to.
Thank you very much for inviting me here with you, and I have been enjoying very much with the weather and the diverse culture and friendship in Tampa. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to meeting many of you and to talk, to meet, have a shared experience each other. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Well, before we end, I want to see if anybody has any questions that either you can ask Kim or I or Tammy. Any issues have come up? I wanted to give a quick update in case I'm looking to see if I see any hands up. There has been some questions brought up about, masks and going back to normal and this kind of stuff. Just be aware that there are no mask requirements if you're a state employee. There are no mask requirements. There's no vaccination requirements. But the expectation hasn't changed. We haven't gotten any new information from Donna Peterson and the USF task force that changes anything in terms of expectations. Our teaching faculty, I give them tremendous kudos. When people are saying, are we back yet? They've been back. They've already been teaching. And generally, there's pretty good compliance with mask wearing among students in the classroom and with our faculty and people in the hallways. So I appreciate that. But we are back to work, and I want to start encouraging people to little by little start to get used to coming back in, working in the office. Things might change very drastically in January. So if you haven't been coming in at all, try to start coming in one day a week. Just try to get yourself back into the habit. I actually think coming back is going to be harder than when we were working from home, because we've all gotten into a whole nother pattern. It's been quite a long time. So, again, there's different expectations from the university about teaching, and because that's all funded by the state of Florida. Than there are for researchers and people that are pretty much involved with research. And that's more governed by your funder and also, by IRB and things like that. So, but I just want to encourage people, start to feel good about coming back to work. I see more and more people here. And if you have any questions or concerns about that, just let me know and I'll try to answer them. But we are back to work. In other words, nothing's changed from a state of Florida perspective. We're back to work. Everything's back to normal. But we have this expectation that people wear masks, and we hope that people socially distance. Somebody asked Denise Barnes, I think, saw a question come up. And yeah, we would love to have a doctoral program in the rehab and mental health counseling program. And maybe in the future, maybe we will. One of the things that we're trying to do with our recruitment efforts for the master's program is to recruit more and more students that have an interest in doing thesis. Many of the students are really more practice oriented, but if we can have more and more students with interest in doing thesis, it sort of sets a groundwork for a doctoral program there, which would be wonderful. I guess as Ray has with the ABA program, this cost recovery program, it actually helps to pay for the doctoral program. So we have to have a way to pay for a doctoral program as well as to pay for the faculty that would be working in such a program. We have 2 recruitments going on in the department, and that's probably, like, what new venture do we want to have versus are we getting from the dean's office positions. There's about 50 recruitments going on right now in the college. There are 30 faculty openings. The college couldn't handle 30 openings at one time. So there'll be some delays, but we're still missing faculty. We're missing a faculty member in Deborah's program. We're missing a faculty member in MFT for them to be able to get accreditation. We just got a position that had been vacant in ABA. So the two is ABA and rehab. But, you know, we've lost a lot of faculty. I think I counted 7 faculty positions. So we really just got 2 of them back. So that's a big challenge. And so we're very entrepreneurial. We're very go-getters. But at some point, if we want to grow, we have to find a way to grow with the resources, because we can't do any more than we're doing right now. It's just not possible. I mean, we have the largest number of faculty in the entire college. Like I said, we're the largest department on campus on the non-USF health side. But many of you on this list, as I look at your names, you're research faculty. So, and those are people that work on, you know, their jobs are dependent on the grants and contracts that they have. So when we're talking about academic programs, we're talking about making sure that we have funding for tenure and tenure earning, or for an instructor position. So you know, it's a whole different world of financial responsibility. And when people leave, we have to make a request, a special request to the dean's office. And you're not always assured that you're going to get what you ask for, because it depends on the whole needs of the college. So that's where we are with any of that. So anybody have any questions about COVID, social distancing, or masking, or vaccinations, or anything? Okay. All right. Well, I hope to see more and more of you. I might not recognize you with your mask on, but you can always find me through my head, and can paint a picture of myself up there. And thank you all very much for joining this call. I don't see any hands up, so we'll go ahead and we'll end. And thanks to all the presenters. Bye-bye, everybody.